There comes a moment in every person's life when they finally understand something brutal, something ancient, something the Stoics have whispered for centuries. Silence is not weakness, it is power. And when a strong person chooses silence after being hurt, the world shakes a little. The people who underestimated you begin to feel a strange discomfort. The ones who walked away start to question their choices. And the ones who thought you'd chase them suddenly realize you never needed them in the first place. This video is not about revenge. It's about becoming the kind of person whose absence speaks louder than their anger. The kind of person whose silence forces others to face themselves. The kind of person who grows so quietly and so powerfully that those who hurt them cannot help but feel the echo of their mistake. In the next few minutes, you'll discover 5 silent habits that create this effect. 5 habits rooted in Stoic wisdom, forged through discipline and sharpened by pain. These habits will not make you bitter, they will make you untouchable. Because the truth is simple. You don't rise by fighting, you rise by outgrowing. And it all begins with the first silent habit. Habit 1. The silent withdrawal. The first habit is simple but brutally effective. You withdraw without warning, without drama, and without explanation. Most people explode when they're hurt. They demand closure. They beg for answers. They fight to stay relevant in someone's life. But a Stoic understands a deeper truth. Respect cannot be negotiated. When someone hurts you, chooses someone else over you, mocks your value, or takes your loyalty for granted, you don't confront them. You don't debate. You simply walk away. Psychologically, this is devastating for the other person. People expect loud reactions. They expect emotional chaos. They expect you to prove your worth. But when you give them nothing, absolutely nothing, they are left alone with their own behavior, and that silence becomes a mirror they cannot escape. Seneca said, "He who does wrong is the first to accuse." When you withdraw silently, the person who hurt you begins accusing themselves. They wonder why you didn't fight. They wonder if you ever cared. They wonder how you let go so easily. That uncertainty is what creates regret. Picture this. Someone thought you'd beg them to stay. Instead, you became distant, focused, unavailable. You stopped texting back. You stopped giving attention. You stopped giving your presence. And suddenly your absence becomes a force. This habit triggers the first spark of panic in their mind, because people never realize the value of what they had until the silence makes them confront what they lost. But this is only the beginning, because once you master silent withdrawal, something even more powerful happens next, something that makes people regret hurting you even more deeply. And that leads us straight into habit 2. Habit 2, rebuilding quietly. The second habit is the one that truly breaks people. You rebuild your life in silence, not to prove anything, not to make anyone jealous, but because strength grows fastest when nobody is watching. Most people broadcast their healing. They post motivational quotes. They show off progress. They try to signal that they're doing better. A Stoic does the opposite. You disappear. You go inward. You sharpen your mind. You train your body. You upgrade your lifestyle. You rise in ways no one expects, because your transformation is private but undeniable. This silence creates a unique psychological effect, jealousy mixed with regret. They don't see the process, they only see the result. One day, they look at you and realize you are no longer the person they walked away from. You became calmer, stronger, more disciplined, more focused. Seneca said, "What progress, you ask? I have begun to be a friend to myself." And when you become your own friend, the people who abandoned you suddenly understand they lost the best version of you. Imagine this scene. Months after hurting you, someone sees you again. Your posture is different, your energy is different. Your eyes show no resentment, only inner stability. You're not proving anything to them, you're simply evolving. And that is exactly why regret hits harder. Because they didn't think you would rise. They didn't think you would recover. They didn't think you could become someone they can no longer reach. This habit creates tension because the question forms in their mind, if they grew this much without me, what would they have become with me? And that brings us to habit number 3, the habit that breaks manipulative people completely. Habit 3, emotionless presence. Habit number 3 is emotional control in its purest form, the kind of silence that cannot be manipulated. When someone tries to provoke you, they expect reactions. They expect you to explain, defend, justify, or crumble. But a Stoic becomes like a stone wall during a storm, unmoved, unshaken, and uninterested in chaos. This neutrality destroys manipulators, because manipulation relies on emotional buttons. When your silence shows that these buttons no longer work, their entire strategy collapses. They might try guilt, they might try anger, they might try nostalgia, but nothing penetrates your calm. This is where the metaphor becomes real. Imagine a raging storm crashing against a cliff. The storm screams, twists, and lashes out. The cliff does nothing. Eventually, the storm exhausts itself. That's what happens when you master this habit. The other person burns themselves out trying to affect you while you remain steady. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." When you refuse to mirror their chaos, their ego begins to crumble. They start questioning themselves. They replay every conversation. They wonder why their words no longer influence you. And the realization hits them hard. They no longer have emotional access to you. Most people fail here. They break under pressure. They respond out of impulse. They let the other person see their pain. But when you don't, when you show nothing but calm, controlled silence, they begin to feel the weight of everything they did. And now we move to habit 4, where your silence becomes almost classy. Habit 4, the high road silence. Habit number 4 is the silence that radiates dignity. Not coldness, not arrogance, but a high road composure that makes people see you differently. It's the silence where you no longer speak negatively about the person who hurt you. You don't badmouth them, you don't gossip, you don't complain. You simply let the truth reveal itself over time. One classy sentence defines this habit. "I wish you well." That's it. No emotion, no bitterness, no passive aggression, just a clean, calm release. This creates a powerful social proof effect. When you remain respectful, people begin to notice who stayed mature and who acted out of ego. Friends, family, coworkers, they all slowly realize the same thing. You handled everything with integrity. And the person who hurt you begins to feel exposed because your silence highlights their behavior without you saying a single word. Psychologically, this is devastating for them. The more gracefully you act, the more guilty they feel. The more you move forward, the more they feel stuck in their own mistakes. And the more you choose the high road, the more they realize they lost someone rare, someone stable, composed, disciplined. This silent maturity leads directly to the final and most powerful habit. The habit that doesn't just create regret, it transforms you forever. Habit 5, silent forgiveness. The final habit is silent forgiveness, not because they deserved it, not because you're pretending everything is fine, but because you refuse to let their actions live inside your mind. Forgiveness is not about them. It's about reclaiming your energy, your clarity, your spirit. Silent forgiveness is when you stop replaying the past. You stop needing apologies. You stop expecting closure. You stop wasting emotional energy on what cannot be changed. You let go without announcing it. You free yourself from the invisible chains that once held your heart hostage. For the other person, this is where regret strikes the deepest. Because nothing frightens people more than realizing you healed without them, moved on from them, and rose above them while staying kind. Your silence forces them to confront something they never expected. You grew into someone beyond their reach. A Stoic metaphor explains it best. Imagine carrying a burning coal. The longer you hold it, the more it burns you. Forgiveness is dropping the coal, not for the coal's sake, but for your own hand. When you release the bitterness, your life expands, your mind clears, your future opens. Silent forgiveness is the final step in becoming untouchable, and by the time regret reaches the one who hurt you, you're already too far ahead for it to matter. These 5 silent habits are not weapons, they are transformations. Silent withdrawal, quiet rebuilding, emotional control, high road composure, and silent forgiveness. Together they form a blueprint for rebirth. Not revenge, not bitterness, rebirth. Because the goal is not to make people regret losing you. The goal is to become someone who never needed validation in the first place. Someone who rises through discipline, someone who heals through strength, someone who moves forward with clarity and purpose. When you live this way, regret becomes a natural side effect, not your mission. You don't chase people. You don't demand apologies. You don't try to rewrite the past. You simply grow. and growth is the loudest silence in the world. If this message spoke to you, drop a comment saying, "I rise in silence." And if you want more Stoic, warrior-minded content, make sure to subscribe. Your journey is just beginning.